This is fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding currently.
Check this out. I picked this up on eBay. This is a 980 Ti that was used for mining, and the seller has, I think, 20 of these. And so I wanted to see, there's always that theory that the mining use of cards degrades the performance. So I wanted to test that. And since a really good 980 Ti still goes for about $100, if I could make this work for much less, then it would be worth the effort, I think. Maybe not. This looks like a reference design. So probably the blower was here and it blows through there. There also would have been a black front plate, cover with thermal pads here. Not a back plate because otherwise the sticker wouldn't be there, I think. So I might have messed up here because this is $50. I thought I could just buy the shroud and the assembly cheap, but people still want $40 just for a bad card with the shroud and the fan and everything. Also, whoever did this modified the power inputs so they're straight now instead of going up, so you couldn't use the stock shroud anyway, so that's not good. So anyway, first we'll see if it works. I'm sure it probably does. I do have this from another project. This was on my 1060 twin fan modification that I did, and that project is over, so this is just kind of laying around. This is from a 950 card. I think that this would be enough to let me use the card, but I feel like it's not going to cool it enough to use it seriously. But we'll try that first, and then if that fails, I have the 780 from another video, which I've had for sale now for $50 for a long time, and nobody's buying it, so it's just kind of sitting here. And if you look at the PCB, it's pretty similar. The only difference is there's this particular screw hole is not on the other PCB. And what else? So that screw hole. Oh, there's also not one here either. But if you see the memories in the same location, looks like there's four. So this will probably work. Yeah. Looks pretty similar. This will probably work on here, but the problem is, now what do I do with the 780? It's hard to sell it as it is. Maybe I could put this on there, I guess. But you're kind of ruining the 7080 to make the 980 Ti work. Whereas if I combine the cost of this card and this card, I could have just bought a regular 980 Ti. But anyway, we like to tinker. I'm not sure how we can fix that power issue though. Yeah, that's gonna be a problem. Okay, maybe that won't work. Well, first of all, let's plug it in, see if it works. Then we'll stick this bad boy on there and see if we can at least use it without it catching on fire. Good news, it did post, so it does operate. I didn't want to operate it without a fan, so I immediately shut it off. So now let's go ahead and, this is my first time seeing this, see what the thermal paste looks like after mining. Ew. it's like dust. It just fell off. Look. It's totally gone. Pretty sure that does nothing at this point. That's probably why they're selling these so cheap, because they were overheating. All right, let's clean it up and then put this little guy on to start with, see how it works. Here it is, nice and clean. And the reason behind this experiment, it was rumored that mining will degrade the performance of the GPU. So we'll see. I did some basic tests on another 980 Ti that was also EVGA. So I'm going to try and compare this to that. And then the fans. And here's how the fans will sit. It's not mounted yet. Now actually, we don't have the plate for the cooling part here. But actually in this case, the fan is going to blow directly on these components. So it might not be bad. Turned out to work out perfectly to blow on this memory, and these modules, which is what they normally cool. The bad part is I don't know about here. That heat pipe is going to be really close to the memory. So that might be a bad thing because those get really hot. So let's mount it and try it and see. So here it is mounted. It seemed to go on okay. Just those pipes are really close to the memory right there. And then these are two 80mm thermal right fans, which run very quiet. And there's an adapter to go to the original connector. So it's still going to control itself thermally properly, I think. We'll just see what happens. These actually can run at high speed and still be quiet, so I might just fix them to a high speed for any benchmarks. All right, let's try it out. So here it is up and running. 980 Ti, 6 GB. We're at 1000 megahertz. This is just the stock setup. And we're running at 51 idle, which is a little high. Let's try it with a little higher fan speed. That's only 22. So here's the card under stress. This is Furmark. We have, yikes, 250 watts power draw. That's amazing. 100 FPS. We're up to now 82C. This starts in the high 70s. But the longer this runs, the higher it goes. I had it running. It's kind of hot in here, but I had it running for about 10 minutes. This went up to 85. And then I did the benchmark, and it was 85 Celsius during the benchmark, 95 FPS, and that's the score, which is way less than the original 980 Ti. These are all the Furmark scores for these 980 Ti's. We should be seeing 100 FPS, so it's throttling right here. And we should be, worst case scenario, in the low 6,000s, and we've got a 5684. So I'm gonna run it one more time once it's cold. See if I can get this number up. Just do it real fast, just to get a peak number real quick. And so what's happening is that the heatsink and those twin fans are working, but it can't handle it for long periods of time. So it does work, but it's probably not good for gaming anymore like that. It could just be used for casual. Also, you should notice that when you play games, the stress is usually not this much, if your settings are not crazy. Typically for me, the Furmark temperature is much higher than the actual gaming performance. And also, the fans that I have here they only can go up to 2500 RPM. So when I had this at 70%, it was still 2500 RPM because the voltages don't match because they're different fans than the original. So the nice part with these is that even at full fan speed, 2500 at all times, I still can't hear them. So that would be okay to run it like that. So let's do a cool down and then a quick benchmark and see how close we can get at least to, I would at least like to see a 6300 and be close. This is terrible. Benchmark's running right now. We have it started at 44C. It gets really cold when it's not doing anything, which is good. And see, it's just steadily rising. It's almost done. $2,500 RPM, 98%, and let's see what score we get. Should pop up right here. 74, 75. There's your result, 6,000, still underperforming. It says it went up to 85, but I didn't see that. I only saw 75. And it was, yeah, 100 FPS. So, in conclusion, it works. Not as well because the uncracked fans are on there, they can't cool enough, but it's fine. I did notice the memory chips that were by the heat pipes that I mentioned were super hot, so that's not good. And the here's the idle temperature back. See, it goes back very quickly. It really just needs a bigger heatsink, I think. If I could find another twin fan one that's not from the 780 that I don't want to ruin, I think it would be better. Just, it heat soaks. It's only capable of so much. But so $50, 980 Ti, and 100 frames per second, which I could never achieve with my 1060. The highest I ever achieved with overclock was 89. And this is at the stock clock on this card. And then the record for a 980 Ti that I've hit is this one right here, 7208. Anyways, that was fun. I think for someone casual and very limited funds, it would be fine, but the 240 watt power draw is just insane. It's still not as much as the 300 watt the Zotac one took, but there you go. Just something to have laying around. Maybe we'll put it in a super budget build and maybe just have the case have tons of fans in it and just let that help out the air cooler too. All right, guys, thank you for watching.